This video is an overview of the control panel of the Servo 900C. Now, when looking at the front of the ventilator, the control panel, it's broken up into 9 sections. So one of the first sections is the working pressure. So I'm just going to kind of block that off. So this portion deals with the working pressure. Two, we're going to look at down here in the kind of like the lower right hand portion of the screen. This is the mode selection for selecting your mode of ventilation. And above that, this is your respiratory pattern. And if we look over here, this is my expired minute ventilation. This is the area for my expired minute ventilation. And right next to there, that is my monitoring for my airway pressure. I'm just going to change the colors to kind of make it easier for it to stand out. And then below my expired minute volume, it's kind of open, and that's my special function buttons. And then over on the right hand side of the screen here, this is to set my mode if I'm using SIMV. And right next to that, that monitors my O2 concentration. So those are my alarms for that. And what this switch does is for monitoring, and it displays in this window here for different monitoring values, which I'll get more detailed. First, working pressure. The working pressure is set by the adjustment of the screw, and that was over here. So it's not shown in this picture, but it was shown at the front of the unit. And here's my gauge right here. That's my manometer. And you want to make sure that your working pressure is always set at a value somewhat higher than the highest airway pressure. Next, let's enlarge the mode selection. And as you can see, the Servo 900C can be operated in 8 different modes. And you select the mode just by turning the knob to where you get the arrow to whatever you want. So currently it's set on volume control ventilation. This is my respiratory pattern section, and it's enlarged. And this was what I was talking about earlier, is that's what I use to dial in my working pressure. I'll leave it there. But this is broken down into sections. So my first section this is where I set a minute ventilation. And I'll get more into that in other videos on what that does. And the next is, what type of breath pattern do you want to... So this is my flow pattern switch. Do I want to have a square waveform flow pattern, which it's defaulted to right now? Or do I want this kind of ramp acceleration, partial deceleration ramp there? The next settings areas, these are my breaths per minute. And this is my inspiratory time, or I'm setting a percentage. And if you wanted to set a pause, this is where I'd set a pause by dialing that in. Now let's look at my measurement section for expiratory minute volume, or expired minute volume. So first I have this meter here that shows my displayed minute ventilation. And then below that this is where I set a lower alarm limit and an upper alarm limit. And my toggle here, if I'm using it on infants versus adults, so that changes my range. So if it's infants, it's in this blue range here, which is my lower range, and if it's adults, it's on the outside range for the alarms. So that's important to the toggle. Additionally is my apnea alarm and my gas supply alarm. So my apnea alarm, I'll get more detail on that, and my gas supply if I have a low gas supply. Now to the right of the expired minute volume, or under the flap, are the special functions. So the first is my inspiratory pause hold for if I wanted to do it like a plateau pressure, and an expiratory hold for checking my auto peep, and this gas change here, that's meant if you're using your ventilator for anesthesia, and that's to quickly change your anesthetic concentration if you're using a vaporizer. Now this is my airway pressure section on the 900C. And first we're going to look at the top portion, and this is just my display. This is my pressure meter showing how much pressure's in my circuit. And then this is my upper pressure limit. And this is, so that would be for my alarm setting. Here's also for triggering for spontaneous breaths, so this is my sensitivity. And if you're using pressure control, this is my inspiratory pressure. So this is my pressure control level. And it is a delta. It is a delta P, because you notice it says inspiratory level above PEEP over here. Now, if you're using SIMV or SIMV with pressure support, then you also need to use the SIMV breath setting here. And I'm going to get more into that detail. So this is the section for SIMV. And to the right of that is my settings for my oxygen alarm, or my O2 alarm. So I have my lower limit over here on the left, and then I have my upper limit on the right. And that is for my O2 alarm. And right below my O2 alarm settings, I have this display. So this is a digital display. And what is output in here in my digital display depends on what I select as my input. So this is my control, this is the parameter selection for that. So currently it's on breaths per minute, and my breaths per minute is going to display here. Say I have it set on 12, the patient's not breathing, it's going to display up here 12. So I just move this knob around to get it where I want it to, for whatever parameter I want to be displayed. And that is an overview of the Servo 900C control panel. In a future video, I'll get more into the panel functions.